Hello everyone, I am Tanya Vindeka, and having PTSD, having that diagnosis is one thing, but actually dealing with all the symptoms and all the anger outbursts or the irritability of it, or the isolation, the depression, that's a whole other level. How do you deal with that for yourself, your internal world? I'm not even talking about the people outside, Do you beat up on yourself? It's not, we don't actually want to go out and lash out on our best friends or walk down the street and you get startled by a car that backfires and that person walking towards it starts to smile and you feel like punching that person out. How dare they smile or laugh at that? Well, in hindsight, I know it probably would have looked hilarious, really. This car backfiring and I'm jumping to the side and all this kind of stuff. It would look funny. If I would be walking and seeing that, I may laugh myself, even knowing that it is a difficult situation. It's something you feel out of control. So out of control because it just happens. It's a reaction. But then what happens afterwards? You beat up on yourself. You're being harsh on yourself. I'm sometimes my worst enemy. The thoughts that go on. I wouldn't dare say all these things to someone else, and probably no one else would ever speak to us in such a horrible way than we do. But what happens is we often get stuck there. It's not just that one trigger where we were really, really irritated and then we take ownership of that and move on. No, it's like I'm irritated and I go home, I stew over it, and how come I couldn't control myself again and letting this happen again, and it happens every single time and I get so worked up over it, and it can go on and on and on, and the whole situation doesn't then end up lasting like a minute or whatever it lasted for. It lasts for the rest of the day, and then I can't sleep, and then it goes on into the next day, and you get into this cycle. It's really, really bad. And I've been in therapy for many years, and my psychiatrist pointed this out to me hundreds of times, I guess. And I just couldn't see it, and I didn't see that this is a cycle that just keeps me stuck down there, and not just stuck down there, it actually keeps pulling me even further down, if there's such a thing. And I just thought I need to take accountability. Someone, you can't just do that. I have to change, and I just couldn't do it. So what do you do? How do you change this cycle? How do you become more or feel like you're more in control and don't burst out and react like this? I did not want to be that person, and I know you don't want to either. That's why you're here listening. That's why we try to read books, do courses, seek professional help, because really deep down we have a longing to have connections as well, have loving, caring relationships with other people, and have a fun life, really. We don't want to be those angry people, or I don't want to be remembered as the person who couldn't get out of bed and things like that. We really want to change, but it doesn't help if every time or every day I couldn't get out of bed, if I just then beat myself up over it. Or every time, it's like, you might be able to relate to this, but I've many years was just about a chocolate addict, and the worse I felt, the more chocolate I ate. And there is a whole physiological thing as well. This is chocolate being high in glycemic index, so the insulin goes up. As the insulin goes up, your serotonin goes up in your brain, and you might get those minute amounts of feeling good, which for me, when I was really, really depressed, the chocolate didn't really do it. So a block of chocolate would never see a second day, really. Even when I went to Big W, they have the larger blocks of chocolates. Yeah, didn't see a second day either. So, but what happened is, every time I buy one, I knew already when I bought it that I will not be able to be strong enough to not eat the entire block. So I already told myself that before I even got home. And then of course, I ate the whole block. And of course, I felt miserable, I felt bad, I felt guilty, I felt shame for not having the control and the strength over my own actions, you know. And this isn't even really involving other people, but still that whole beating yourself up all the time is really not helpful. So what do? Are you ready for the challenge? It's a hard challenge. So for every time you say something negative about yourself, you're beating yourself up over a situation you think you didn't handle well, come up with a situation where you did well. You know, I know. Just the thought initially, it's like, there was never a situation that I handled well, so I actually obviously had professional help with that. So, and I could never see, how can he come up with all these positive things and still remember these tiny little things I did where I coped. But then, because I couldn't come up with that myself, so initially I had to actually write them down. So I had like a little cheat sheet, if you like to call it that, and where I had those little successes, you know, even if they were tiny. You know, with the chocolate, you know, that day where I only ate one row of the chocolate and I made it, that night when I went to bed, how good it actually felt. I really did it, you know, and you get a sense of achievement. So I know it's minute, it's tiny, but still they're the little successes and they're the ones you need to remember. So every time you think about something horrible, bad about yourself, when all those really negative thoughts come up, when you really abuse yourself at the end of the day, you know, that's what we're doing. And we need to realize that, you know, like Dr. Daniel Amen, I love it. He's a psychiatrist really, and he's got the world's largest brain imagery. And he always says that you're not stuck with the brain you have. You know, he has so many so much information out there, and he's written books and he's written journal articles about how your brain can actually change and how we can train it to build new neuronal pathways, you know. And as I mentioned before, you know, we have these really big tracks going through that they're really negative, and well, they're big tracks. They're probably bigger than my brain. But you know what I mean. So they're very negative. And we need to learn to build new pathways, and it is really, really hard. But if you stick at it and you are determined, and like I say, I like to call it, I have to tame my demons within. You know, we really have to get the better of them, and it's like a bit like in that movie, The Avatar, where he had to tame this big, huge dinosaur monster kind of thing. And that's what I always think of, you know, every time all these negative things come up, we have to tame those, you know. It's my life. I want to have joy in my life. I want to have positive experiences in my life. So I need to create those new neuronal pathways. I need to focus on the positive. And even if I have the cheat sheets to start with, you know, I needed those cheat sheets for at least the first couple of years. So be determined. Trust in your abilities to work things out, to work it out with your family, friends, and believe in yourself, really believe in yourself, that you have what it takes to make those changes for yourself. All the best. Bye for now.